All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, or as always as I can manage it, my name is Cloud Hudson, and I'm your meteorologist for the evening. Now, I have got my mic on this time. Yeah, we're really doing it. It takes me a lot to work on a whole new computer, and I'm doing my best. So right into what our weather was today. Let's start out by looking at earthquakes. Earthquakes. Okay, if I didn't load the scene, then how do I earthquakes, view, properties. Are we doing the right one? Okay, I don't know why I have to open up. Okay, that's probably going to happen with every scene now. Oh, well. Okay. Let's do these. How do I make this less weird? Okay, there we go. All right. We're looking at earthquake 3D. We see a 4.4 at 508 kilometers depth here out in I think that is right in the middle of the big wave breaking pattern. I want to call it Fiji, but it might be the Vanuatu Islands or Tonga. Gotta get a little better at geography. There's definitely some colonizer name for it, but I'm not going to say that one, I guess. 4.5 over here at 62 kilometers depth over here in, again, supposedly the Cook Islands, but we're not going to call him the Cook Islands because we don't like him. We had a 5.6 at 10 kilometers depth today at 1 p.m. over here, right where the Indo-Australian plate meets the Antarctic plate. We also had a 4.6 over here right in the heart of the Philippines. We had a 4.9. See, that 4.6 was at 1:36 p.m. And we had a 4.9 at 2:33 p.m. here in, I guess that's technically China or Tibet, depending on who you ask. It's in the Himalayan mountain region. Not seeing any on the mid-Atlantic ridge today, though we did have three different 2.3, 2.1.9s here in the Puerto Rico Leeward Islands area. We also had a much more inward or inland let me see borders here. Yeah, I guess that is also in Argentina today. We had a 4.7 at 569 kilometers depth. Let's go ahead and take off. Let's look through the sphere. Uh-oh. Doesn't want to show me that. Hold on. Don't show hidden. Show hidden. Oh, I know there's a way to look through the Earth on this one to see. I want to see the one where we look right through it. Earth A, but sphere. Okay, but how? I know that there's a way to look at how the 4.7 was on the opposite side of the Earth of this 4.6 in the Philippines. Give it to me now. Oh, well. It won't let me do that. That'll be fine. That's okay. Let's keep going with, we've got 1.9 here. It looks like Oklahoma or Kansas at 4 kilometers depth. We had a 2.5, 1.9, 1.6, 2.1 here in West Texas. That's regular tremors from the oil drilling operations. Whoops, who said that? Not me. Okay, over here in the Yellowstone caldera, we had a 2.5 at, again, you guessed it, 8 kilometers depth. Very typical. We've got just a giant stack of, let me take the magnitude down on these so we can kind of show I can kind of show you where the points are here. This is this is where all the quakes actually are. It's very hard to see when I've got the sizes exaggerated like this. But they kind of ripple through on either side of Death Valley in this, what should be the Sea of California, for those who know. On either side of those, we get a lot of diffused energy going into the plate. So fortunately, that means that we're not looking at anything too giant disturbing us. We are looking at the same kind of thing over here in Alaska. I'll make these rings bigger again, but yeah, you can see where all the individual little quakes are when I make the ring. And take a look at not many showing in the Japan, Mariana Trench Island, or Russia region. Let's see if I zoom that out to even earlier last night. Still, the most recent 5.1 we had in the area was, oh, I hadn't zoomed all the way out. That was at 10:36 p.m. today. Seems wrong. 5.2. We had, okay, if I zoom my time scale out, we had multiple 4s and 5s going all the way through the Indo-Australian plate boundary. Not just the 4.7 in Argentina, but also a 5.1 here in, is this going to count as Bolivia or Chile? Or not Bolivia. Is this going to, yeah, that's in Chile. Oh, we zoomed too far out. Let's get back to just today's quakes. 2.8 over here in San Antonio area. And looks like a 5.5 here on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. That would be at, all right, and we just had another earthquake come in. 5.5 at 10 kilometers depth at really early in the day. Where's that new quake coming from? Sometimes I hear them before I see them. Most of the time I hear them before I see them. I don't know. Oh, we had a 3.5 up here in, looks like Germany, in the Netherlands, Belgium, maybe. Okay, let me put on borders. Okay. Technically, I think that is in, wait. Oh yeah, that's in Germany. We had a 3.5 in Germany today at 5 kilometers depth. I bet people felt that. I bet somebody felt it. We also have a, man, Alaska looks like such a swarm of quakes up here. Really wish I had my Iceland feed on here, but I will have an Iceland feed on here very soon, actually. I'm working on getting an Iceland feed in here. Okay, yeah, and then a 5.1 up near Bismani, Mount Kamchatka. Mount Kamchatka up here in Russia. No chats. That's okay, though. Let's go to, let's take a look at our volcanoes after this. Let's see if I can get this. Okay, it's going to show, I pulled up the astro weather first, but let's see. Northern lights shining over erupting volcano. They know me too well. Let's take a look. That's exactly what I was looking for. Oh, look at that. I knew that was going to happen. Grindavik, Iceland. We've got the northern lights shining over the eruption in Grindavik. That is also some rising morning sun clouds. Beautiful, beautiful footage. Thank you very much, the Associated Press. God, that's beautiful. That's exactly what I wanted to see. I needed to see these northern lights over the active volcanic eruption. This is a really impressive volcanic eruption. I've been so moved to see new rock being formed, new hills being formed. Honestly, I hope they show the northern lights part again. Marco Di Marco. Sounds like a fake name. There we go. There's some northern lights over. Look at that. Northern lights over a volcanic eruption. That is what I have expected to see this entire time. Okay. Let's take a look at what Iceland has to say for themselves with this beautiful display. This is Iceland's earthquakes today. Very few and far between. They've got gas pollution hazard warnings in the area. Let's not awesome because again, Keflavik is the second largest or second most populous city in the Reykjanes Peninsula. Second only to the capital Reykjavik, which is right over here. Keflavik is right here. That's their second. Let's watch the winds go through. Yeah. So the winds went from being more southwesterly to northwesterly. And we've got this really dense plume of very toxic gases coming off of this area. Expected to go back offshore by tomorrow morning, but currently not looking good for the residents of Keflavik. So everybody remember to wear your respirators. Everybody remember to change your air filters frequently. I'm not talking to anybody in Iceland that I know of, but avoid taking dogs with you to the eruption site. Of course, because they're shorter and are closer to the ground. Fluoride can also accumulate in puddles in the area, so don't let your dog lick those. It'll close your dog's third eye right up. Okay, let's look at any news and alerts. They haven't really updated this in a while. Yeah. Still the same news and alerts for that. Very cool to see the northern lights shining over there, though. Let's take a look more now at the terrestrial atmospheric weather. We are now looking at the NOAA National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center's website. They had a slight marginal and critical risk all issued for today. So the fire outlook was the one that was critical and elevated. Western Texas, we're looking at a huge fire risk. But then when you look at your convective outlook, we had a marginal, slight, and enhanced risk of thunderstorms on most of the lower Mississippi Valley region over here from Mississippi and Louisiana up into, partially Alabama, a little bit into Tennessee and kind of Arkansas. But right now we are looking at, let's take a look at, they've just issued a mesoscale discussion for tornado watch in Mississippi right now. Remember, for overnight tornadoes because of the way that convection works with the way that it'll work through the country. Just geometry and geography wise, they get nighttime tornadoes there. So wind and damage and isolated tornado threat is expected to continue for a couple more hours across parts of eastern and south central Mississippi. Weather watch issuance may be needed later tonight for parts of far southern Mississippi and southern Alabama. Latest mosaic radar imagery shows a linear MCS ongoing from east central into southern Mississippi, with a few embedded strong severe storms. Generally lower Cape and weak instability, but the wind damage threat is still pretty high. And then when we are looking at far to the southwest, the air is more unstable, with the RAP suggesting ML Cape is in the 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram range. That's a little bit more significant looking at tornado risk. Storm relative helicity around 500 meters squared per second squared. That's also really high. Yeah. Okay, so what this means is looking at our... Okay. What? Oh, that's a lie. There is a mesoscale discussion in effect. storm reports for today. We've had at least one tornado reported in Mississippi. Let's see, where are our active watches right now? We've got a tornado watch throughout this entire area. Let's see, are there any warnings technically? Not yet. It looks to me, let's take a look at this on Radar Omega. Let me switch to hello. I know I've got Radar Omega up. Why won't you open? That's not Radar Omega. Okay. Just doesn't want to work with me today. Can I... Window capture. Properties. Radar Omega. Okay, there it is now. Okay, fine. Okay, finally. There we go. Radar Omega. So, we are looking at this Mississippi Valley region. I've got the warnings on. This is our actual scans. Let's take a look at the individual radar sites. See if the Jackson site will give us anything. Maybe. They're also got a flash flood warning in effect there. Ooh, yeah, that looks nasty. Big old squall line of storms coming through there. And it really makes no surprise to anybody that we have this on the other side of a severe fire warning, because like I was talking about yesterday, oh, my mic might have been off, but that rough, scratchy, dry, big fire energy air likes to spur up these really severe weather systems. Don't see any, at first glance, I don't see any isolated storm cells that look like they are actively spawning tornadoes right now, but let's take a look at our velocity. I mean, well, I guess I'd be looking over in the Baton Rouge area. Let's take a look at the one from Hammond. See if that's got any couplets. No, I see the big line of storms. I don't see anything that looks like a velocity couplet yet right now. Maybe here in Monticello, Brookhaven. Let me slow this down a little bit and zoom in. Let's see. I mean, that looks like a lot of vortices spinning themselves up in the wake of the line of the squall, but I don't think that is producing anything that's touching down right now. So, makes sense that we don't have anything tornado warned yet, but definitely be on the lookout. If you lived in Mississippi tonight, I would be keeping an eye out for that severe weather, especially high wind. Especially when you've got like these big lines of storms, that's usually something with really high wind behind it. And especially if you see the fire risk behind a storm, that is a high wind situation. Let's go back to our, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Mosaic radar, that's what I meant. I mean, looks like it's sweeping through pretty rapidly. And I don't think there's anything behind this, so we don't really have to watch out too much. But, yeah, the story today is continued severe weather in the deep south and continued, I believe, winter weather up here in the, in the UP of Michigan and in Minnesota, very, very far north part of Wisconsin. We've had quite a bit of snow today, and honestly, it looks like over here in Nebraska and Kansas, they had some snow as well. So, interesting weather day. Really interesting weather day. It's also the full moon. So, I mean, last night into today was the day when we saw the actual eclipse of the full moon, but this is when the moon is, I don't know, this is the day of the calendar that people have been calling the full moon, but technically, degree-wise, it was yesterday. Let's go ahead and look from our atmosphere to going back and zooming out. Let's look at the space weather for today. Solar wind speed is still moderately high. Remember yesterday we had a pretty high KP index, and we also had, that was thanks in part to our extremely high solar wind. Looks like we almost got to 1,000 kilometers per second. We still are observing, disturbance storm time. We're still seeing this in the, moderate storm range. We're looking at random, really high density peaks. And you can almost see how the density peak comes as an inverse with the speed, because higher density will slow down the speed. You can also see how we did have more southerly component to the interplanetary magnetic fields earlier today. And let's see, do we get a bigger data point with plot with that? Yeah, okay, so the wind speed, the wind speed's been really high. Density's been kind of all over the place, looking pretty low with these big random spikes. And for most of the past, like, how many hours is that? 8 hours? For the past 8 hours, we've had a mostly southerly component. Let's see. We also got a 1.98 flare, a radio blackout in progress. Let's take a look at our flares now. Okay. So, I'm going to turn on GOES 18. I don't know why they have that turned off by default. Okay, so at 6:40 UTC today, Monday, March 25th, we had a M4.7. Then we spiked really low back into the B class territory. Had some moderate C flaring, and then another M class flare today. So we had a bunch of M class flares yesterday. Just so many, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like a lot of, I mean, on the bar graph down here, or the more summary graph, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different peaks of M class flares, but there were individual flares within the time where those happened. This is like this is weather. This is looking at weather just like beyond the ionosphere. Very interesting to see. We had some pretty strong M class flares today. And that is probably what our R1 radio blackout storm was like from today. Most of these have been from 3615 and 3614, but we've got 3621 and 3622 showing up, and 3619 as some C class flare contributors today. So let's take a look at where those regions are. Let's see. 3621 is, again, about to get out of Earth-facing view, so of course it's going to show off right after it passed Earth. 3615 is looking even more complex than it was yesterday. 14, obviously, doing its thing. But 22, I'm surprised to see that come up, because it looks like a big old nothing burger there. Our solar protons are still highly elevated. We're trying to come back down from that S1 level radiation storm that we've still been dealing with since our March 23rd coronal mass ejection. Let's see. Let's take a look at how Soho is recovering from that radiation storm, because remember, we saw that speckly, sparkly stuff on there. Decent coronal mass ejections. There's the biggin. There's the sparkly storm. And it's fading. It's not even fading that much. And now it's headed towards Earth. So today and yesterday, all of that shit came towards Earth. Then we've had a few little bursts afterwards. Let's see. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Latest CMEs. Let's see. Today we had 38 to 44. We had 6, 7. All right, that's a decent one. We're also still seeing the remnants of that big partial halo, complete halo CME the other day. Can we still see that one? Let's take a look at that one again. Big chungus. Big. Let's take a look at the Solar Dynamics Observatory data. Just look how complicated 3615 is really the Dan flashes of solar spot regions. It's the more complicated the pattern is, the more complicated the pattern is, the more the shirt costs. The more complicated the pattern is, the more the M flares pop off. That's a beautiful, beautiful region. Let's take a look at it on, let's do high cadence 193 angstrom. Okay, there's that big coronal hole that blew all the wind towards us. Got the, really set us up to receive things from the sun, getting the wind streaming in that direction. Here's another earthquake. Beautiful. Looking like a little S. Beautiful.